I'd like to call to order the JPS meeting for October 5th. Roll call, please.
Chair Renahan? Here. Member Chaplin? Member
Here.
Covert?
Here.
Member Dessart? Member Eckhoff? Member Garcia? Member Krajewski? Member Ozog? Member Pachalski? Member Schwarzy? Member Selman? Member Zay?
And I'll ask for a motion to include Member Covert virtually. I understood she was to be online. She was just here a second ago.
Yes, I will be in 20 minutes. I should be in the office.
Okay, do we have a motion to include her virtually? Okay, we have a second? Second, thank you, Juicy, and
No,
all
I'm
in
not
favor?
second. I had a question.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, we just brought up this at Stormwater that we just put Mayor Brummel on, and one of our members didn't get even the link, but said we should state the reason. We have to all be here, so we have to state the reason why we should make that, whether it's a family emergency, it's whatever our rules state, why we're allowing the person to be here.
Yes,
And
it's an emergency.
Okay, I think Member Covert has indicated it's a family emergency.
If I could just give
Yes, Member
some
Solomon.
context, we've allowed multiple members to come in remotely when they have childcare concerns in the morning. So this would just be following the same things we've done for fellow members.
Okay, we had a motion. Did we have a second on that motion? All right, thank you, Member Schwarzy. All right, any more discussion? All right. Family emergency is what we're told. Are all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, Member Covert, welcome. Do we have any public comment?
No public comment.
Thank you. Just quickly, I want to kind of introduce, we have our state's attorney here today. And I just wanted to say, overdose and the effects of substance abuse disorder, as we know, have continued to cause pain for families and in our nation, in our country. And we know too well that the pandemic has only exacerbated that. Adding to that, fentanyl-laced drugs have added to the spikes in overdoses. And you're going to hear some information today about the historic number of deaths we've experienced in this county. County work every day touches on public safety when it comes to drugs, whether that's the sheriff, the state's attorney, public defender, the court, coroner. The amount of work done is immense. So I invited State's Attorney Berlin here today because his effort to hold drug dealers accountable is important. And I wanted him to share DuPage efforts on this front. So thank you, State's Attorney Berlin, for being here today. I look forward to your presentation later today, and I will add happy birthday. With that, I will entertain a motion to approve JPS minutes of September 21st. All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All right, any opposed? Those are approved. I'll entertain a motion on JPSP 37721, contract purchase to William G. Robrick, attorney at law, conflict attorney for the court, November 1st, 2021 through October 31st, 2022, not to exceed $44,000. Questions or comments? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That is approved. Take a motion on JPSP 37821, contract purchase order to Public Safety Direct for upfitting and repair of Sheriff's Office vehicles, monthly maintenance, 10/30/2021 to 10/29/2022, not to exceed $260,000.
So moved.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Take a motion on resolution FIR 44021, additional appropriation for the Sheriff's Basic Correctional Officer Training Fund, $50,000. Questions, comments? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That's approved. Take a motion on FIR 44221, additional appropriation for federal law enforcement treasury fund for the Sheriff's Office, $82,000. Questions, comments? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That passes. Take a motion on FIR 44621, resolution acceptance appropriation to Victims of Crime Act Child's Advocacy Center for the state's attorney, $75,472. Questions, comments? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That passes. We have a change order. Take a motion on FICO 50521, approval amendment to resolution FIP 23420, agreement to the Sotos law firm to provide additional professional legal services for the special assistant state's attorney, $140,000 for the state's attorney.
Sorry, who moved?
We have a
Thank you.
Vice Chair Pachowski.
I was just curious where this case was at. We've already paid $150,000. Is that just for pleadings and discovery? And we're paying another 140 with 93% increase. So I'm just curious for a 20 case, what has been done so far for that 150,000? And where's this case going if we're going to pay $290,000 in fees? I'm just curious. It seems rather high for a 20 case, and just curious what the status of the litigation is. I'm not asking for anything that's, not going to be something that's going to be divulging anything. I think what I'm asking is would be all public record anyway.
I'm guessing we have someone from the state's attorney on the line. Lisa?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes. Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Yes, we have actually entertained settlement negotiations earlier in the summer. Those were not successful. Because of the number of parties that are being deposed, the amount of records in this case, it's very extensive. And the plaintiff is represented by Loewe and Loewe, and I think it's safe to say that they don't leave any stone unturned. So it's definitely an expensive case to litigate. We understand that, but we have tried to make efforts in settlement, and we haven't been successful to do that.
Of $150,000 of the attorney's fees in this case has been for discovery. Is that what it is, or has it been for summary judgment motions? Or I'm just curious.
No, we haven't. We're not to summary judgment yet. There's been significant discovery questions really on every turn of this case. And again, I think the depositions are totaling, I think there's close to between 25 and 30 people that are going to be deposed. The case goes back quite a long time, so there's a lot of history in it. It's just an extensive case, which is why, again, that we attempted to reach a settlement.
Do you think there will be more fees to be incurred in this case, or will this $140,000 take us through trial, if you are able to answer that?
I don't know that it will take us through trial, including trial, but there's always the possibility that once we get a little further with depositions, that we may be able to talk settlement again.
Any other question? Vice Chair Pachowski, any follow up to that?
No, thank you.
Okay. Member to start?
Thank you, Chairwoman Renahan. Yeah, I had questions about this as well. I'm not saying anything that's not in the public board packet. This is the case of Randy DuPage versus Dill Guidance et al. And I was concerned because this is a 93.33% increase over the original contract. So my questions are, Lisa, how are these contracts with special states attorneys formed? We agreed to $150,000. Now it's almost double that. How could our estimate be so far off? And secondly, for the $290,000, wouldn't it be less expensive for us to hire our own in-house special states attorney? Thank you.
If I could just respond briefly. So when special assistants are appointed, it's usually because there's some expertise that we don't have in-house, and that's why they've been appointed. There is not a contract per se, which is why we have to come in periodically for these change orders, because depending on how litigation goes and when we see exactly what kind of time is involved, that's when we come in with these change orders. I requested a larger amount this time because I was trying to get us through a longer period of time without coming back regularly. So that's kind of where we're at with this. And again, because of the amount of time and energy that is spent fighting literally every issue in discovery, that is totally driving up the fees. And there's nothing we have to respond to these motions. We have to respond to these conferences. We don't have another option other than, doing due diligence and responding accordingly. So I think that is, and Loewe knows that, and it's driving up the fees.
Okay.
So I can't, but I just wanted to clarify that. So special assistants don't have a set contract.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is that it would not be cheaper to hire somebody in-house for this because this firm has a special expertise. I get that. That's the second question. And then going back to Member Pachowski, I didn't hear a definitive answer. are you gonna be coming back to us for another $140,000 in a couple of months, or will this do the trick? I mean, I
I
know
would
you
have,
the ball, but I don't want to keep throwing money at a bad situation.
no, I understand that. And we will probably be coming back in November or December, actually, with, to renew appropriations for all of the special assistants. So depending on where we are at with regard to fees in this case, it's likely that we could come back as well.
All right, thank you. Any more discussion on this item? And I do appreciate the questions of the committee. I think that's important. Have something else. Member to start.
The next time we have executive session, could we have somebody come in and talk to us more about this case?
Sure, I think we've had a request to have more discussion on this case in executive session, so I would think they could accommodate us
Thank
on
you.
that. All right.
I'd be happy to do that. Thank you.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, that is passed. Moving on to consent items. I'll take a motion to combine consent items 9A through P. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? I'll take a motion now to approve items 9A through P, and I do apologize. I do have to read these according to our Assistant State's Attorney here. They are all for the sheriff. They are decreasing and closing contracts, and they all end in 0001 SCRV. So in the spirit of trying to make this a little faster, I'm going to read the shorter version. Member Garcia, I think you had a. Yes.
But first, I move second.
All right, move. Do we have a motion?
Second.
We have a second. Thank you.
Okay, quick question, and I know I talked to you yesterday about this, Chair Redham, but I just think we need to make it clear because this is a lot of money that they're closing and they're actually combining. And I know you explained everything, but I think the committee should hear exactly why there are so many, because there's over like $500,000 in terms of decrease and close. So I just wanted to get an explanation for the committee.
Sure. Can I call our CFO up here to give a brief explanation of what happens when these are decreased and closed and perhaps why?
Good morning. A couple things happen. Sometimes we'll be under budget and that money will drop back into the line item. And sometimes the contract just expires and a new PO has to be issued for that particular vendor. So this is cleanup, if you will, and procurement, just making sure all of our expired POs that are date driven, if you will, are reduced. And if any new POs need to be issued for the vendor, then we do it going forward.
And just real quick question, on the money that is out of the budget then, I mean, you're not spending that. So where does that go back into the general fund or can you explain?
Into the individual department, the line item.
Okay,
If it's not spent, it stays there.
all right.
So that particular contract or would be under budget and the money would stay there.
All right, thank you so much.
Member Krajewski?
Quick, Jeff, later. So when there's multiple Mac Body Shop and multiple Ray Hearns, are those multiple years?
It could be. I didn't look in detail. I could, but we're going back. I mean, I think to 2016.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, you're
Yeah.
cleaning up a lot of old stuff that should have been cleaned up already.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Any other discussion on this item? All right, so I will read each one. We have a motion to approve all these. First, we have county contract 126, contract pharmacy services, decreased $33,802.28. Change order 3585, Gauls Parent Holding, decreased $15,367.16. Change order 3539, Public Safety Direct, $17,044.96. Change order 4182, Public Safety Direct, $25,701.69. Change order 2554, Max Body Shop, $10,898.81. Change order 3170, Max Body Shop, $25,826.87. Change order 3910, Max Body Shop, $39,790.31. Change order 4485, Max Body Shop, $40,934.68. Change order 4308, Ray O'Hare and Co., $44,312.55. Change order 3985, Ray O'Hare and Co., $95,915.10. Change order 4685, Rayo Hair and Co., $124,365. Change order 4400, Valon Solutions, $10,800. Change order 2254, Evaristo Aguinaldo MD, $13,237.99. Change order 2378, Aramark Correctional Services, $70,695.02. Change order 3823, Trinity Services Group, $32,511.49. And change order 4482, Trinity Services Group, $44,010.91. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, the change orders are approved. I'll take a motion to receive and place on file grant proposal notification Victims of Crime Act for the state's attorney, $60,378. Questions, comments? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, that is passed. And we have one authorization for overnight travel emergency management coordinator, October 24th to the 29th. Instruct all hazards communication unit. There was no additional cost. This is for Homeland Security and Emergency Management. I'll take a motion to approve. All right, questions, comments? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That is approved. And with that, we finally will get to our state's attorney. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here to talk to us about prosecution of drug crimes within DuPage County.
Good morning. Thank you, Madam Chairperson. Welcome, everybody. This is not a rather pleasant topic to discuss because it's disturbing what's going on, but the facts are the facts. Let me just start by kind of telling you where we're at and then what we're doing, how we're addressing the problem. Go back 8 years, June of 2013, the number of possession cases, we had 57 heroin fentanyl cases pending and 26 prescription pill cases. Now, 8 years later, that 57 grew to 242, and the 26 pill cases grew to 99. The reason those pill cases are important is because 4 out of 5 heroin or fentanyl users begin their addiction using prescription medication. Last year in 2020, there were 112 opioid overdose deaths in DuPage County. Those are numbers I got from our coroner, Dr. Jorgensen. The year before, there were 96. So we had another significant increase. Years ago, when this problem started, we worked with our coroner's office, and we have a system set up where they notify us immediately when there's a suspected overdose death. We have somebody in our narcotics unit who's on call 24/7, 365 to get those notifications, and we work with the police department to try and figure out where the drugs came from that caused the victim to die. Illinois has a drug-induced homicide statute. In essence, what it says is you can charge someone with drug-induced homicide if you can show that they unlawfully delivered a controlled substance to another, and that person's death was caused by the ingestion, inhalation, absorption, or ingestion of any amount of that controlled substance. These are difficult cases to prove because not only do we have to prove that a person delivered drugs to the victim, but we have to prove that those are the drugs that actually caused the victim's death. And in cases where the victim isn't found for a matter of hours, we kind of have to backtrack from there to see if we can make that determination. So we have somebody on call 24/7, and typically what we do is we try and establish a 24-hour timeline where the victim was in the past 24 hours. We get search warrants for the victim's phone to look at who their contacts were to see if they were meeting up with any drug dealers shortly before their death. We look for any baggies found around the victim's body, any distinguishing marks that may be on those baggies that we may be able to tie to a drug dealer. We also check for DNA and fingerprints and any physical evidence at the scene Again, we have worked with our coroner's office and they are taking a DNA standard from every victim in these cases. We also search and collect trash at the scene and obviously speak to any witnesses who may be at the scene. And then we have to wait for the coroner's report and the toxicology screen to make sure so we know what the cause of death is. As I said, these are difficult cases to charge. We have charged 19 drug-induced homicide cases since we really began investigating these. I would say in the past 7 or 8 years. I believe it is more than any other of the Collier counties, and I don't believe Cook County has charged any. I don't think they investigate them. I was asked to speak last March. Senator Van Pelt had a subject matter only hearing on how we actually investigate our drug-induced homicide cases and had a number of panelists in that committee. So when we look at what's going on nationally, let's start first of all with the Chicago HIDA counties. Remember, DuPage became part of HIDA 2 or 3 years ago, which is the high intensity drug trafficking area. It includes Cook County, Will County, Kendall, Grundy, and Lake County. Year to date in 2021, those counties have experienced 642 opioid-related deaths. Provisional data from the Illinois Department of Public Health reported that there were over 3,500 fatal overdoses in Illinois from all drugs in 2020, of which 2,900 involved an opioid. So it is a significant percentage of the drug overdose cases that involve opioids. There's several factors for this, including stronger synthetic drugs and also limited resources during the COVID-19 pandemic contributed to a huge increase. What we're seeing is fentanyl. That has really been the game changer. Fentanyl is coming over from Mexico. It's made in clandestine labs in Mexico, and the drug dealers are mixing it with heroin, and now we're actually seeing it in cocaine. And victims, they use these drugs unknowingly, and it's the fentanyl, unfortunately, that's killing them. Recent data released by the CDC show that drug overdose deaths reached a record high of over 93,000 in 2020. And while those estimates are not final, that's 20,000 deaths more than the previous high, which was in 2019. And the single largest percentage increase on record since 1999. So the other point the CDC came up with is if you go back to 2015, synthetic opioids, which includes fentanyl, were involved in only 18% of all overdose deaths. In 2020, it was more than 60%. So that is the real problem that we're facing again, is drug dealers lacing these drugs with fentanyl. The DEA has launched a public safety campaign called One Pill Can Kill, which seeks to educate the public on the dangers of fentanyl, and that just a small amount, as little as 2 milligrams, can actually cause somebody's death. So we, when it comes to the drug dealers, we're going to continue investigating these cases. We have been called out probably in hundreds of cases over the past few years. We've only charged 19, which shows how difficult these cases are to prove. You know, hard to establish that those were the drugs that actually caused the victim's death, but in a lot of times, we try and work our way up the chain to the drug dealers, and our witnesses are drug users and small-time drug dealers. And there's oftentimes a lot of credibility issues. But it's important, and we continue to make that effort. I also want to make it clear that when it comes to drug users, we take a very different approach. And there is actually some good news to report on this front. And that is our drug court has 79 active cases right now. These, for the most part, are defendants with long criminal histories who otherwise would be going to prison. But we're taking a chance on them because it's been determined that the crimes they committed, nonviolent crimes, I might add, were the result of drug addiction. And we've had tremendous success in this program. It's a very difficult program, but the recidivism rate is far lower for those defendants who graduate from our drug court. And then our first offender call, Unified for Success, our focus courtroom, now has over 1,100 cases pending in that courtroom. And again, the idea is to get drug treatment to these people. If they complete the program, they can end up with their cases dismissed and an actual expungement. So this is an award-winning courtroom, and it continues to pay dividends. So obviously we treat the users and the dealers very differently, and we'll continue to aggressively prosecute drug dealers and hold them accountable for their actions. Sure.
Sorry. Thank you. Thank you for the work that you do every day.
Appreciate it.
I'm going to turn it over to our committee for any questions, if that's okay. Member Shorzy?
All right, wonderful presentation. Thank you. And as a firefighter paramedic, I've been on 6 opioid deaths in my career, and dozens of other, where they didn't die. And so this is near and dear to my heart. A couple of quick questions. Do you know why? I mean, if people are dying because of the fentanyl mix, why is that being done? I mean, is it cheaper to sell and make than just straight, heroin or something? I mean, obviously sellers don't want to be killing off their clients. So why is this happening, I guess?
So it's a great question. I believe the drug dealers are mixing the heroin with fentanyl with the idea that it's very addictive and that people will keep coming back.
Gotcha.
The problem is they're not experts, they're not chemists, and they're putting too much in there.
Okay.
And that's what causes
More
the
addictive,
victim's
better
death.
addictive.
But just from a purely business point of view, I think that's the idea, is they want the users to keep coming back.
Gotcha. And then one more quick question. So congratulations for charging 19 people. That's fantastic. I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but you're doing something, and it puts those consequences out there for the people that are distributing this. But any luck on the convictions of those 19?
Yeah, so we've had 14 convictions. There's 4 cases that are pending right now. One case, we lost a motion to suppress evidence, and we had to dismiss that case. So I think
That's
we're
still
doing
really good. So thanks
extremely well. And I should add, in most of these cases, we're getting sentences of at least 10 years. It's a class X felony, 6 to 30 years. One case we got as high as 20. And recently we had a case where a victim was killed, died in Hinsdale. The sentence there was 10 years on the drug-induced homicide plus 2 consecutive on possession with intent, which was committed while the defendant was out on bond.
Thank you very much. That's
Sure.
excellent news. Thank you.
Thank you.
Member Desart?
Thank you, Chairwoman. Thank you for the presentation, Mr. Berlin. I really appreciate it. So we kind of think that drug users are the scourge of the earth, right? We have that mental image, but that's totally changed. I changed my opinion of drug users after I'm a journalist. I interviewed a woman whose daughter was straight A's all through school, all through high school, all through college, graduated from college, and boom, was in a car accident. And the doctors prescribed pretty heavy medication after that. And when the daughter couldn't get any more, she turned to street drugs and eventually overdosed and died. Horrible, horrible story. My question is, what else can we do about it? I mean, in 2018, the county created the Hope Task Force. And since 2018, we're now at 2021, and the numbers have just gone up. So do you think the Hope Task Force is doing anything, any good to turn this around? Or what else can the county do to, we'll never eliminate this problem, but to make the numbers go the other way?
So I think we actually were making a lot of progress. until COVID-19 hit. The
Okay.
pandemic really set us back. And I think all of the experts agree that, you know, we had more people at home, either not working, we had students at home, and that caused a huge increase in drug use. I believe the Hope Task Force is doing a great job. Unfortunately, this is the kind of problem we're not going to see results overnight. And I kind of make the comparison to drunk driving. There was a campaign that went on for over 30 years to change the habit of drunk driving. And I really think we finally have gotten through to at least the under 21 group when it comes to drinking and driving. It took that long. So I'm hoping it doesn't take as long with opioid drug use. But I think we have to stay on it. And I think it's a public awareness education campaign to keep getting that word out there. I can tell you, having participated in numerous forums throughout this county, going to schools or churches in the evening, there is a not my kid syndrome out there. It's very difficult to get people to show up at these educational forums. It seems like most of the time the people who do show up are people who've experienced problems themselves or have family members experiencing problems. And they don't get active or involved until it is one of their kids. But we're going to keep trying.
One other question, and this is there anything we can do to prosecute or shut down these drug dealers who are using these social media outlets where you hear the parents say, my kid was, you know, in his room for COVID, he didn't go anywhere. Well, a drug dealer got to him through TikTok or Instagram or one of these other platforms and sold him drugs with fentanyl, and now he's dead. Is there any way we can go after these social media outlets and prosecute them for, I don't know, not vetting their users or something? I don't know. You're the prosecutor.
Yeah, so the problem is the causation, that connection. The dealers are one thing, but using social media as a platform
But if we could,
makes it a lot more difficult.
I know, but if we could nip the social media, I bet they'd be a lot more watchful about what's going on in their platforms.
Sure, and you know, we do subpoena social media evidence in these cases from either our dealer and our victims' cell phones. I have had discussions with our Attorney General about this. I know that they have looked into this.
Like a class action suit or something.
Yeah, I mean, that would be a civil remedy, not a criminal remedy.
Thank you so much.
Member Ozog and then Member Garcia.
Hello. Okay. Thank you, Madam Chairman, and thank you so much for your presentation. My concern, you mentioned it briefly, fentanyl and cocaine. And I brought this up to one of my kids who lives in the city, just in conversation. And unfortunately, she relayed to me that she'd actually, there was someone from her college class who had just passed away in the last week or so. But I had only just heard this on the news about cocaine. And again, I'm talking anecdotally, but my assumption is that cocaine is more of a mainstream use drug. And what are the implications of fentanyl with cocaine? That seems like a brand new problem. And, you know, in terms of stepping up drug use, et cetera, I mean, a lot of people stop at cocaine. I'm speaking anecdotally, but seems like a really big concern in terms of generalized drug use, cocaine versus heroin. I mean, cocaine has been in use since at least the early 80s from my, you know, so what is your impression of this? It seems like it's a really new thing. And is this going to become an even worse? I don't know. This seemed very alarming though.
Yeah, it's a huge concern. And yes, this is something new. We hadn't seen fentanyl mixed with cocaine. Cocaine in and of itself is a very addictive drug.
Yeah.
And it is one of those stepping stone type drugs that leads users to something more serious. Fentanyl is highly, highly addictive and highly, highly dangerous. And it's, again, it's synthetic. It's made in laboratories and it's coming over from the border. It's an enormous problem. And I know that our DEA is paying tremendous attention to it, trying to keep it from coming in. But unfortunately, the reality is I think we're going to be dealing with this for a while.
And
I
just
wish
to-
I had better news.
In my own education, I mean, we know heroin comes from overseas. Is it the same with cocaine in terms of its likelihood to be laced with fentanyl? It seems like most of these issues come into the country. Is that relatively true?
With heroin and cocaine, certainly. It's
Coming from outside the country.
Outside the country. Much of it comes from Mexico. Some of the fentanyl is coming from China.
Yeah.
But yes, and I know that they're intercepting a lot more at the border,
Okay.
which means a lot more is getting through as well.
And one final question comes to mind. About 5 years ago, a friend of my husband's, they lost their son. And about 3 weeks later after the death, the mail was forwarded and there was actually fentanyl-laced drugs mailed to this person. He died in Texas, but it was forwarded to the parents. What is the situation in terms of the mail, or is there, what can they do? I don't.
Well, I mean.
And again, I don't mean to put you on the spot. It's just, you know,
those-
these issues are affecting, I mean, if you don't know somebody,
Right.
you're fortunate these days.
They have to be investigated
Yeah.
to determine where it came from. And I know we do it. We do it in every single case. Unfortunately, other counties don't. They don't have the resources or don't make it a priority like we do. I do know that our U.S. attorney, they're very active in this. They're aware of the problem as well. And they're also have put forth resources to try and stem the problem.
Thank you.
Sure.
Member Garcia?
Yeah, thank you so much for this presentation, this very frightening presentation, quite honestly. And I know in the presentation you said that it got much worse during COVID, and so I'm just thinking that we're talking about the causation of why people are using this, and I know there's got to be some link to mental health here. So I'm wondering, when you're doing your presentations on drug use, are you doing them in conjunction with, mental health? Because maybe more parents would buy into that, because I do see their kids being depressed or anything like that. And then we can also say, and here's what happens. So I don't know if you're already doing that, or is that something you can do?
It's a great point. We have been, and there's no question, all the experts agree, a lot of these users are self-medicating. We've seen an enormous increase in mental health issues the past 10, 15 years. And there's no question there's not enough resources out there. And we've been talking about this for a long time. It's the diagnosis of it, as well as the treatment. And if we can do a much better job on both of those fronts, we will absolutely see fewer of these cases. It's a great point.
Could not agree with you more. Thank you so much.
Any other questions? Member Ackoff?
I had a little question. You said a lot of this was coming over the border from Mexico. Is it coming in by plane or boat, or how's it getting here?
Plane, boat, car, and in people's backpacks, taped to their legs, their stomachs, their backs, every which way. And I know that there was a decrease during COVID, and then the dealers found different ways to bring it in.
Member Sart?
Thank you. I just had one more comment. We're talking about all these drugs coming from Mexico or other places, but I think part of the problem is right here, because I mean, I think we need to, start an education program with our own doctors. I had health issues in April. I had a minor surgery in May. I was given 25 Oxycontin tablets. I needed one the day after the surgery. I turned the other 24 in at my police station where they have a prescription drop off, but that was a problem. I mean, I needed one pill and they prescribed me 25. I think that's a real issue we need to be concerned with as well.
Yeah, it's another great point. And I can tell you that when we were doing these forums, we did meet with a lot of the hospitals, and some of the hospitals have changed their medication protocols as a result. And I believe it was in maybe 2014 or 2015, the DEA issued a new rule that for refills of opioids, you actually have to go see your doctor in person, and they can't just phone it in to Walgreens or CVS. But yes, most of the time you have some kind of a surgery, you're going to get 30 pills or more. Most people use a handful. The problem that we see is most people aren't as responsible as you are to turn the rest of those pills in and then leave them in their medicine cabinet, and then their kids get into them. And that's how they kind of get spread around. Great point.
Well, thank you, State's Attorney Berlin.
Okay.
I know we share a concern. I think we've all been touched, probably each of us in one way or another. This goes far beyond addiction. This is casual users now who are who are dying because of this fentanyl problem. So I appreciate your efforts to take it up the chain, so to speak, and put these drug dealers away and, make everything safer for us here in DuPage County.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
With that, do we have any old business? Yes, Member Covert.
Thank you, Member Ranahan, for allowing me to be on Zoom.
Sure.
I sent an email, so I greatly appreciate it. I just wanted to address the concern from this morning about childcare issues and, family emergency. I'm really thankful that we do have Zoom that allows mothers of young children, to be at their meetings on time rather than not being here at all or being late. And I do appreciate Member Krajewski's comment as well, and I just want to mention that there is a huge labor shortage during this pandemic. So if Member Krajewski has any suggestions of, a nanny that would be willing to work at 7 a.m., please send her to my house, please, because there is a huge labor shortage. It's ridiculous. We can't, it's a lot of parents are going through this, and daycares are even having a shortage on labor over there. So it's become a big problem, and this pandemic has mostly affected women in the workplace. So I just want to mention that. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. I see Member Krajewski wants to respond.
Yeah, since you mentioned my name. We just had a stormwater, we had Mayor Brummel on there, but we didn't state the reason. We just said we'll allow Mayor Brummel to participate stormwater via Zoom, and our rules just state certain things on business, travel, sick, whatever, family emergencies. So my suggestion at the end of stormwater was that when we do this, that we designate the reason why, so it falls under our rules. And so that's what I brought up this morning when we asked Member Covert to participate, just to state which area under our rules that she was coming in under, which she stated was family emergency. I have no problem with that. I just think for our record, we shouldn't state which one, because it does not allow people just to randomly come on Zoom unless they fall under one of our categories.
Okay. Thank you, Member Krajewski. I'll take responsibility for that because I did get a request yesterday. I should have followed up as to why I did not. So Member Covert?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask maybe the state's attorney, are we required to, I sent an email last night to Member Ranahan and Member Pachalski of my reasons why I was going to be on Zoom. Am I required to state it publicly as well on the record, or is it sufficient to have it in an email? Because I already stated my reason.
I think if you stated your reason to the chairman prior to the meeting, that would be sufficient. The Open Meetings Act 7A, paragraph 7A states what reasons are appropriate.
The email that I sent last night to the chairwoman with stating the reason of why I needed to be on Zoom is sufficient. Is that correct?
I believe that would be sufficient. I think the chairwoman would state that you have whatever reason it was, family emergency. It doesn't have to be specific as to what exactly it was, but one of the 4 reasons labeled in paragraph 7A of the open meeting.
Thank you. Member Ranahan, do you mind, or Chairwoman Ranahan, do you mind stating the reason for me when I send an email the night before? It wasn't stated this morning.
The reason
so-
was you were going to be in the car driving. You're dropping your kids off at.
Right, and I
daycare.
stated family emergency as, I kind of wrote details in there. I do that every time. I send you an email every time I'm going to be on Zoom, but it's not stated at the meeting. So I would just appreciate it if you could just state it at the beginning of the meeting.
Sure, I don't recall it saying family emergency, to be honest, and that's not my decision. That's state's attorney, whether that qualifies under the thing, but I take responsibility for not reading your email.
It's okay. Thank you.
Okay, I think we're all on the same page here. Member Garcia.
Yeah, just real quickly, and I do empathize with Member Covert because, we've all had kids, we've all had to deal with childcare issues. And I think that makes me cringeworthy, and this is not just against Member Covert, it's against other members, is when they're Zooming a meeting and as they're driving. I am so against just, distracted driving. It just, to me, just, I've had, I'm good friends with an officer that just got hit and is very badly injured because someone was distracted while they're driving and they hit. So that's just where my frustration is when I see someone driving and talking on a meeting and things like that. That makes me so nervous. So that's my frustration, I guess, when people are calling in from their car. So that's my only concern.
Thank you. Member Covert, yes.
I completely agree with Member Garcia. It's nerve-wracking for me. I have to turn off my video so I could focus on the road. But during this pandemic, do we have any solutions? Because we don't start, we start meetings at 8 o'clock. And there will be other mothers in the future elected to this position on county board that will have small children. Not everybody runs for office in their 60s or 70s or, when their kids are fully grown. There are young millennials that also run for office who are professionals. And this is a very unique situation with COVID and this, global pandemic. So I guess my question is, what is the solution for mothers of young children who are also professional and elected? I mean, such a unique position to be in. What is our solution? If we could talk about solutions, I did, pushing back the time to 8:30. That wasn't a solution. Driving, almost putting yourself at risk. I mean, that's, not being here is not an option. Being late is not an option. You have to be here. So what other choice do we have? And I think our state allowed us Zoom for these reasons, because the state understands that we need to have this in place to allow women to work.
Thank you. And I think Member Solomon has said the Rules Committee is going to be addressing some of these things. And I think they're starting up again today. So I think solutions are going to be on the table. Do we have any other comments or questions under old business? All right. And how about under new business? Any questions, comments? Member to start.
Thank you. I just want to say that when I was a single mother with a 5-year-old son when I was at NBC5, and I had to leave for work at 2:30 in the morning. And I know the situation with COVID is a different time. My daughter, who's a college student, was off. She had to be somewhere at 7 o'clock this morning. She's helping a woman with MS get out of bed every morning and then putting her to bed at night. So, I mean, you're looking for solutions, Member Covert, maybe putting up flyers at the local colleges around your area for college students who want to make a little extra money to get the kids off of school. That might be one solution for you. You're looking for answers. I'm just trying to help.
I appreciate that, Member to start, but there is a labor shortage. So I just want to remind everybody that even factory jobs that are hiring for $25 to $30 an hour with benefits and pay are not finding people. So care.com and nannies are definitely almost impossible to find, but thank you for being understanding.
All right, yeah, and I don't think JPS is probably the right venue to have this discussion, but I appreciate everyone weighing in. Do you have any additional new business? All right, I'll take a motion to adjourn. All right, all in favor? Aye. All right, thank you very much.